Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to an updated how to DJ video or tutorial. Now, I made one of these back in 2023, but I don't think I went over as much information as I would have liked to, but this is going to be an updated version. Now, this is an updated board. This is the DDJ Flex 4, so a little bit different, but pretty much the same thing. And this video is going to apply to pretty much any DJ controller out there. I know that a lot of people out there use the Flex 4 as well as maybe the CDJs and any other controllers out there, but this is pretty much going to be a very basic tutorial on how to DJ, and I will also go over some rookie mistakes that a lot of beginners make when they first start out. I remember when I first started out and I didn't know anything about beat matching or phrasing or anything like that, so let's just go ahead and get started. So starting off with the board itself, you're going to have two channels, the left and the right. So the left one controls one song, the other one controls another song, and you basically have the frequencies on this side. You have the highs, the mids, the lows, and basically what these do is they control the frequencies of the music. So this controls the highest frequencies. The higher you turn it, the higher the pitch. Lower you turn it, the lower the pitch. The middle controls the middle frequencies, and the bottom controls the bass. So if you really want to emphasize the bass, the heavy bass parts of a song, you just go ahead and turn this all the way up. And if you want to get rid of it, turn it all the way down. The filter is basically kind of like an echoing effect, which I will demonstrate later. Then you have the volume rockers, the fader here, the crossfader, the jog wheels for scratching if you like, and you have all these effects, which I will go over eventually. But you have basically like beat matching, like beat jump, beat loop, which you can also control here. And then you also have the load track buttons, the master volume right here, the trim, which also controls the volume, the tempo adjuster here, and then a very controversial button that a lot of professional DJs like to diss on is the beat match button. Now what this will do is it will automatically adjust the tempo of the other track to match the tempo of this track, so you can seamlessly mix two tracks together. Now this could be two songs that are completely different genres, like dubstep and techno, or psychedelic trance and house, or really whatever you want. You can go ahead and click that button and it will automatically adjust the BPM for you. So yeah, that's a nice feature for beginners, but eventually when you become more seasoned, you can go ahead and learn a beat match, which I might cover in another video. Now this is the DDJ Flex 4, which means it is a very beginner friendly controller, so you don't really have to worry too much about beat matching if you don't want to. It comes with Serato and Rekordbox, which Rekordbox is shown right here. So let me just go ahead and demonstrate how you would start a track. So this is a very basic house beat. So what I just did there was I just played 4 bars of the track right there, just a very basic house beat, and then I have another track loaded up right here which I'll play, and I'll show you how you can introduce the next track. So basically every song out there, doesn't matter how complex it is. I know a lot of these new dubstep tracks are really crazy, but all these songs, all these EDM songs have the same formula, I guess you would say. So right here you basically have like an intro, which goes all the way here. It's usually like 16 bars in right here. Actually, this one might be a little longer. Yes, this one goes all the way to 32. So this would be the entire length of the intro of this track. And what a lot of people like to do is they like to put the hot cue by just pressing this button right here. This button right here. You can really click any one you want as long as it's set to hot cue. So there we go. We have a couple hot cues in this track right here. We have one at A, which is right here. And then we have another one at the drop. And then we have one over here at the end of the drop. And then we have one at the second drop. And then right here, I'm setting some hot cues up. But basically, it's the same idea. We have the hot cue right here at the beginning of the track, which we can easily mix into. And what a lot of people like to do is they like to mix the outro of one track and mix it with the intro of another track. That is probably the most basic transition you can do. But it's a good one because it helps you practice a bit. And then you can do other transitions too, like mixing two build-ups together and then doing like a double drop. I've seen Subtronics do that before. I've seen him live, man. He's crazy behind the deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be playing a bit of this track and then mix into the other track. Alright, so now we're going to go over the first rookie mistake that I see a lot of beginners make, myself included. I remember making this mistake when I first started mixing, but that is mixing out of phrase. So just like how I mentioned that every song has an intro, a build up, a drop, they have certain lengths. So for example, the intro might be 16 beats or 32 beats, and you really just want to make sure you mix at the right moment. You always want to hit on the one. You always want to start at the one, just like with this track right here where the cue point is. Starts right on the one. So here's a mistake that you could potentially make. Let's say we didn't start this track right on the one. Yeah. So that's a mistake right there. We started too early. Sounds kind of whack. So always make sure you pre-plan your tracks ahead of time, or just get really good at it to the point where you don't have to set cue points anymore. Me personally, I love setting cue points, especially if it's a very complex set. Like I play a lot of heavy dubstep, so I always want to make sure I have cue points. I make sure I select the tracks that sound good together. Another mistake is redlining, which is when you have the volume up too high. This is a volume indicator right here. So it's green, it's yellow, it's red right here. Redlining is basically when your volume settings are just too high. So if you put the trim all the way up, you put the master all the way up. Yeah, you saw the red right there. Basically, redlining is when it's even louder than that, when it stays red, and that will basically mess up your speakers. It will make the sound really distorted, and it's just not a good way to play your music, especially if you're playing in a club and the speakers are sensitive. You don't want to make people deaf or anything like that. And the last rookie mistake that I would go over is mixing two tracks to just don't sound well together. This is a good example right here. So I have a song right here that basically is a drum and bass, and then another track right here, which is dubstep, man. Even though they have the same BPM, some tracks just don't sound well together. They just don't sound well together. So that's why it's a good idea to mix tracks that are the same genre. Like this is a drum and bass, liquid drum and bass track. Mix it with another liquid drum and bass track. And some final tips I will give you is to try not to use too many effects. I really love the filter effect, which I'll show you right here. It's a good way to end a song. I'm just gonna give a very basic example right here. You know, Go Back by John Summit. Man, he's so popping right now. And some final pieces of advice I will give you with DJing is to don't go too heavy on the effects. I just really love the reverb effect here, as you can tell. Reverb, and then there's also spiral delay and all these other sounds that you can use. I would use these when you're trying to end a DJ set. So this is a very good example. This is John Summit, Go Back. Man, I freaking love John Summit. This is one of his most popular tracks, which is house with drum and bass. So if I wanted to end this song, I would just hit reverb right here, and then make sure the number 1 is selected because that's the deck that the track is on. And then I would just slowly bring this up, which I'll show you right now. Something like that. So hopefully you guys like this tutorial. I know it's very basic, but that is basically the essence of DJing. Don't go too heavy on the effects. Make sure you play songs that are the same genre, or if you want to go out of genre, you can, but just make sure they sound well together. Make sure you don't redline. Make sure you are mixing in phrase, and yeah, just really basic stuff like that. I don't know much about scratching. This isn't a vinyl controller, but you can probably look up tutorials like that online. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in another video. Peace.